Well, since I'm starting to get back into doing my crafting, I'm going to do a project. I've always wanted to get an old steam trunk with the drawers and all, and shelves and stuff in them, and turn it into a craft box, a rollaway craft box. But since I've not found one, it's a regular basic trunk with no top. It has like hangers in there. I want to fix it where I could be able to lay it down or have it set up. That way, if I'm wanting to travel, I could take it with me. But here's what it looks like. It probably does need some repair, but I'm not going to do too much. Like I said, I'm just going to pretty much turn it into a craft box. And I think I'm going to try to put a table in there. But here's what I'm starting with. And I thought I was going to be able to get the top brackets cleaned out without having to take them off, because I had an easy way to replace that. But of course, I can't. The leather is like really in there, so I'm going to have to take these little pins out. Hopefully they don't break on me, so I can replace my handles on this thing. And I got to take these little bars out on the top and bottom. No, you're not going to have to watch me work through this whole video. It's more of a step-by-step than a motion video. But that is my second tool that I use there. And I did try a drill on that thing, and it didn't work too great neither. The tool right here was supposed to have been a carbide tool. It was labeled carbide, but of course it's in a little cheap pack, and I know carbides aren't cheap. I'm a machinist. I'm not a carpenter, so this box ain't going to look the prettiest. It's made for function, not looks. I think that was the sixth tool that finally worked. So now let's get out of here and go see the fun part of this video. I actually got these little hooks cleaned out, and I put some nylon rope in it, which I'm going to get creative with. So this is just like a rough edge of it. That leather was pretty rotten, so I just used a couple pick tools, and it took a minute, but I got it out. I got all the leather out of the whole thing without having to take these things off. Door hinges, so I'm going to make that the floor, be more sturdy. But I'm going to take all the sides and the top, and all the sides and top of the papers out of that, because I need to clean it out so I can put the wood there and glue it to the other wood, because that wood is very thin, and I got to thicken it up to do what I'm going to do. But I'm going to work on this bracket. It wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, along with doing the other handle with a nylon rope, cleaning out all that old leather, and threading it through wasn't so easy either, but I got it there. Took the inner lining on the bottom inside and on the, not the whole top inside, because I'm going to keep it there. Even though it's bulging a little, I can get that to go down on the corner here. I think with the lining that I'm putting in there, the way I'm redoing this. But I've also took the outside lining on the sides all the way around. The top and bottom I left because they're pretty clean, and it's not wet and bulging like the sides were. The sides were bulging really bad. I mean, the material that they used to line these with was bulging, so I just went ahead and took them off. I ran into a problem because I felt a little bit of softness there, and it kind of came up on me, but I glued it back down. I think it's going to hold pretty good. I got these hinges, and I marked where when I shut as much as I can shut the chest, I mark where I can see the hinges go, the hinge going. It's only one hinge. It's a good thing. I just have to do one side, but I have to groove in the wood that I'm putting on the bottom on the side. Actually, the side that would be considered the side, I guess. This right here, but I'm gonna use some wax paper and just like trace it, and then trace it back onto the wood that I gotta groove out, and I'm gonna use the Dremel to do that. That way I can get it attached, because that's gonna be the first thing I have to attach is these pieces of wood, so I can get the wheels on it, and the casters. Got traced, and I taped the paper to there, and I'm gonna cut it out. But before I cut it out, I'm gonna make sure it lines up pretty much. And that's where between the tapes where I did the markings, so it pretty much lines up. There's probably a little further than it needs to be over, but that's fine. Give a little bit more of a gap to work with. And I added a little bit more tape on the edges after I cut that out. And there's a little groove from the knife of cutting the paper out to kind of help me guide it. I don't know how this wood's going to take a grinding tool on it. So I'm going to be using my Dremel to grind a little groove. I don't think it has to be but 1/16 of an inch. I might do about 1/8 of an inch to make sure that there's plenty of space between the bracket and the wood at the bottom, so nothing gets caught and hung up. Well, on cutting this lining on this one, I got it perfect of the size first cut, which I didn't know if I was going to. I thought it was going to be a little bit big. Bad part about it is the little bracket needs more space, so I got to bring this bottom one up about 1/16 or 1/8. So it means I got to redo, probably recut these, or just, I might try to rasp them down a little bit if I have to. But that's about what it's going to be looking like whenever I'm done with that side. Besides the dowel rods going there to hold my strings, I don't know if I'm going to change the color or leave the wood look on the top part or not. This one's going to be changed for sure, because I got the cabinet, the wood I got that I'm using for the drawer is from an old cabinet I just paid a couple bucks for, and I'm just using the wood from that. I'm trying not to add too much wood and too much weight, because most of the weight's going to be, all my supplies is going to be in that thing. So I got my stack of pre-cut wood to do a lining on the sides here, which is all I'm doing, is a lining on that one for my rolls, my dowel rods. And the bottom I'm putting a drawer on. There's my stack of wood for all of that. I had added my little thickness to that one side. I'm letting it glue up and dry. Of course, I'm going to put screws in it too, probably. Screws or finish nailers. Got my casters on, and my stops are glued down right now. And I already got a couple screws in them. I even got the casters on the door. The stops were a little too long. I had to cut them down a little bit. The door was hanging down. I got my drawer casing in there. I'm working on gluing my drawer. And I got one of the side liners. I got the top liner in there, already screwed down and glued down. And the bottom one, of course. And I'm working on one of the sides, and I got one more to do. I got my drawer put together, and I turned it into a box. It's just a tie string and lock it. So, and I found this little picture at the Goodwill for $1. So I figured I was going to put it on the front of the drawer, but to add a little bit of character, but I didn't realize that on my depth there, I didn't have enough space there to actually put it on there. I come out too far on that casing, so I didn't get to use it there. So it's just a little basic box. So I just threw together a drawer out of an old drawer. I just cut it down and redone it, made it smaller. Then it ties on the end. That way you can just store it away and nothing will fall out of it if the trunk gets dumped over or anything. And I did get the full lining finished on there. Getting ready to put my dowel rods in there for my strings. And I'm going to put like a little shelf midway here with the table that will come out. I've been kind of working in my mind how I'm setting that up, and I'm covering that drawer with something to be decorative. I ordered some cute little bee handles to open it and shut it. I'm waiting for them to come in. Should be in by the end of the week. I got my drawer finished, and I got my little handles for it in today, so I attached them. And the little sunflower is just an iron-on patch. I ironed on before I added that burlap to the drawer for looks, just to cover the creases and stuff on it. But it turned out pretty cute. But I did change something on here. I changed where I attached the strings to the outside instead of the end, because they're more functional that way. They're kind of pulling the lid up the other way. It's just not as pretty because you can see on the picture, you can see that, but it's not made to be pretty, it's made to be functional. So I covered the burlap, covered that string, so that one turned out pretty good, but the top one, picture that I picked up, I've already mentioned about. But that's where I'm at, and I'm starting on my next shelf that's going to be holding my table. I had to put the legs on there to hold the brackets, make it more sturdy. So I really didn't want to add too much wood, but sometimes you have to make everything function right. Because the brackets are going to go there, and then there's going to be a table that lifts up and down. And I'm going to have shelves behind it. Well, I got my table attached to it with the shelf, one shelf, which that's not really, the top one's not really going to be a shelf that I'm going to be using for anything. I'm putting stuff up there. It's going to be different than, I thought about leaving it empty where I can use it though. But I don't really care for these hinges too much. I thought I would, but they'll work. The way they make it attach, it's kind of a pain to put them up and down, but to attach them you have to leave a little bit of a gap at the top. I probably could have brought it up a little bit, but I brought that back shelf and top back some. It wouldn't have been very much. I got space to put my shelves inside of it, and there's my shelves. They're all ready, and of course they're made out of recycled stuff that I've found really cheap. I think I'm going to try to fit 3 of them in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to work on it. So I got my shelves in, but yeah, I couldn't really do nothing with this because where that hinge is, I would have had to take out that piece there that's kind of helping brace the legs. So, and I don't want to, I mean, it'll work without it because I got it attached to the wall, but like I said, it was just, this is for function, not looks. So not worried about that way it looks. I can live with it. There's my shelves. I do got 4 there. I put 3 in there, and I already had that bottom one, so that made the 4th shelf. I got it for my little containers, and I'm putting craft items in. Then I picked up some of the containers. I've already had some of the containers, so it just makes a little handy shelving for all my little containers, which it's not going to fit all my containers, but most of them. Like I said, it's 4 shelves there. I put 3 in after the casing of that drawer. So, and then it just put the stuff in there, close it up, and there it goes. Now I'm working on the top part. I got to figure out some kind of latching system on that door or that table. I got my next step done, which is my roll of jars, which the jars are going to be full of beads or whatever, craft items. I fixed it where each roll will be taken off, and we can grip around the wood to grab a hold of the lid, they're old baby food jars, and pull them off in case they get too tight. I was going to put just a full slab of wood here, a thin one, but I decided not to. I decided to put spacers and a few rows of them, because that way I know for sure that they're not clinking against each other and break each other. And I'm probably going to have to find me some hardware because I need some latches, which I thought I had some of my latches might work on this. I want to close this off to where these can't come out. I got my little hardware put on the sides of this. The lock, I'm not putting real locks on there, just put some little clips or something. But I've already had that hardware, I didn't have to buy none. And I put the next shelf up, which is, I had an idea for it, but what I was going to put in it's not going to fit, so I'll make it for something. But there's that shelf. It's a little bitty. I had a little notebook thing that's just too wide with that back board there that holds that up, and I needed it to hold the shelf on the top up, so I had to put it there. Well, I got the last shelf in, and it was the hardest one of them all, and I thought it was going to be the easiest one, just because everything was there besides that framing of these doors here that I put up, which I put slide-in doors in it. Right now I got duct tape on the edge to hold them, because I haven't figured out some kind of system to open and shut them, which I guess could put notches in them. I'm not sure. I just figure it out as I go. But that latch is on that one, and I got pins on these little locks, and it's pretty much all done on this side. Now I'm working on my dowel rod area so I can get all these dowel rods in. After fighting to get this thing in, I'm thinking I might do it on hinges, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna sit and think on it, because I'm wanting it where I can pull them out, but I don't know. This is where I'm stuck at. So I keep saying I get stuck, and because I'll get to a point where I think it's gonna work like something, and then it doesn't work out the way I want it. Yeah, I decided to go with the hinge on this thing. The whole purpose of it is to make easy access. And actually, I don't have to do much to it because it's a pretty tight fit too. And I'm using a long, skinny, it's a piano hinge is what they call them, I think. But anyway, just to be able just to pull these rods out. This is what I'm trying to make easy access to. So if I want to refill my spools of whatever I'm putting on there, like, actually it's for a lot of this string that I'm putting on here right now. And I can just put it back in there and change it out and put it on there, and it'll be hanging. I got different sizes, some a little bit bigger than the others, so I'm going to move them around to make them fit with, like I could put the bigger ones up here because this is kind of dipped in. That would be fun probably. This one's poking out, so I don't know about that. And for sure the smaller ones have to be at the bottom because of my little handles, unless I change out to smaller handles. But all I got left to do now is to cover the outside of it. Actually, I kind of wished I would have weighed this out so I could see how much weight I added to this thing, but I didn't get no weight on it, empty, so I'm not sure how much weight I got on. None of these stuff right here on this door is really, really light. It's aluminum hinge. It's really light wood that's in that door. A lot of this wood's light, and everything is actually used stuff or stuff that I found on sale at a yard sale, most of it. I mean, like the decorations down there, them were I got on sale. The burlap material and that iron-on patch, and the iron-on patches I got on the top. I got them on sale. That roll burlap, I got it half price of what it was, so that's kind of a good deal. And I never known what to do with it, and I just thought maybe try it on this, and it looks pretty good, and I like it. But there's my little craft caddy, and that's what it is. I got one side down and one to go. And that's my little bees on the top there, and that's my burlap. Of course, the glue is still wet, so it kind of sees through. You can't really see it after it's dried, so I'm going to work on the other side. I think this is the worst side because all the buckles. Here's one of the ends, and it's already dried, but you can't see no glue through it. I probably need to go through and do some touch-up, cut off the little strings and stuff, but I got to put a handle on this one. I had to take it off to add the burlap. This is how I decided to do my handles. Just a little rope. I was going to do it more fancy, but I just figured something simple. And there's the bottom of the trunk. It's got, of course I still put bees on it even though it's the bottom. And I got my wheels on there and the stops on there. I don't know if I'm going to put the caps on it or not. I got this other handle done. I did a little bit of a different knot and thinking it maybe look a little better, but it's about the same. It's like I said, it's not for looks, for function. But it's a little different, something different. And that's the top part of it when we're standing up. I got this other side done. I'm all done with covering the outside of it. I got a few more things I'm going to do on the inside, which I figured out I'm going to have to put at least something to lock that them dowel rods that's on the hinge in, because when I figure if I open the lid, this thing's gonna flop down for all the weight that I have on it, so I gotta put something. And since I'm not gonna have to replace the rods too much, this thing is gonna put a piece of wood with a screw in it on the side. It's a lot different as a trunk laid down like that. Thing's holding up, nothing's moving. And I decided just to put a couple screws in it, where I was going to originally put them at anyway, but I just put them on one side since the other one's on the hinge. I'm not going to need to be changing these out that often. Well, here's my finished project, and that is tape I could not get off. I tried to. And the only other thing I know cleans the alcohol, and it would just dry that thing out more unless I use some stuff that oils it down, and I really don't want to do that. So there's my sides I added, the burlap stuff with my little bees on it. It's kind of turned out cute. And I did actually add the stops on. Let me see. Stop covers. They go up enough that they're not doing nothing. The main thing is to keep it from falling over. And there we go. It's all loaded down. There's some of my strings, it's not all of them. I have a lot of lace, and I have a lot of this plastic stuff that I didn't get put in there. This only can hold so much. I did mainly different varieties of strings, and I wound up putting little string handles there. My drawers are full. And plumb full, and I put a charm on them too. This shelf is full. And all my beads. Not all of them, some of them. Ones that I have too much that won't fit my little containers. And I didn't put a latch on this thing, but it does got all of my, well, most of my containers in there. Close that back up. So we can open our shoebox drawer, which is pretty much what it is, about the size of a shoebox. That's a little bit bigger, maybe. And it's got my loom and a lot of leather and some other stuff in there that didn't fit in my containers. But that's what I came up with. Kind of like, oh, and we didn't get it in here. Got stuff in there too. I liked how it turned out. There's a few things I would have changed. Like I would have made the table come down instead of go up. It would have been easier. My idea of that was I was going to make it where an open door, but there's not enough space in this little trunk. That's why I kind of wanted to do a steam trunk to have a lot more space. You got like 9 inches by 19 inches to work with on the inside there. So there's not a whole lot of room to work with. I'm going to make everything fit. But it sets up pretty good, and I've already did some sorting of stuff on using my little table there. And I even stole one of my husband's magnets. There's a reselling with Woody channel. He does reselling, and he does have 2 channels, but that's one of them. And he's remodeling his shed right now on his channel. If you're interested in something like that, go check him out. But I think I might think about doing another one of these things. Probably not a craft box, but maybe for something else. For as much as crafts I got, I probably could use a craft box for each kind of craft. Like I'll take up 3 or 4 of these things for each kind of crafts that I do. It goes from that to this, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and I'm sure I'll put something else up, some kind of crafting items, crafting something. Hope you enjoyed the video.